Part 3 of the Buzzbubble interview with Barry Wacksman.
And so this goes full circle back to what does it mean to be a digital agency. If you can't build stuff like this, then I don't think you can be a digital agency, and maybe in the future you won't be able to be an agency. So without the integration of some of these types of disciplines on the client team, you're never going to get to these sort of higher level platform ideas. Across all of the different categories that we work with Nike on, we've come up with different platform ideas, and they're at various states of development. The one that's my favorite right now is this one that we created for the football category here in the US. So it's on the Nike football site, NikeFootball.com, and it's called Head to Head.
They live for the hit, the fingertip catch, the pancake block. But how do you keep high school football players pumped for the game when they're not in their pads? You create an interactive tool that's useful in every aspect of their football life. With Head to Head, Nike Football introduced a platform that changed the way players scout their opponents, motivate themselves, and train to become better at their position. At its most basic, Head to Head is a stat comparison generator that produces a visualization of your stats versus an opponent, any opponent of your choice.
And so the idea of this one is that if you're a high school football player, you can go in and they're pulling data from a source that is tracking the scores and results of high school football games around the country. So all of your data is aggregated, like how many yards you ran or how many tackles you had or whatever, depending on your position. And your data is already in there, and you just type your name in, and you see your charts across all your key metrics for your position. And you can do a head-to-head comparison with any other player who's in the system. Okay. So your cross-town rival that you might be competing against, and you can even do it against NFL players. So that's an example of a platform where these high school kids are now in this system, and they're looking at it like every week, seeing how their stats are measuring up against their opponents. And then it's linked to a whole range of training content. So if you're not,
performing up to par.
Exactly, and the training content is all featuring, the famous Nike athletes like LaDainian Tomlinson and athletes of that caliber who are in the application. So again, that's an example of a platform. The kids who use this thing are going to use it again and again. They're going to use it every year that they're playing football. Right. They're going to be going back to NikeFootball.com over and over and over again, where they will see marketing content and messaging about new products and things of that nature. They're going to have this completely different relationship with the Nike brand because the brand is now an advocate. It's helping enable their performance in a way that it's not just pumping messages out there. Yeah, it's in there. It's part of their life. They're passionate about football. Nike's giving them the tools to take their game to a higher level. And again, these things tend to be ecosystems. So there might be the web version of it. There's the iPhone app. There's the ability to take the training content into your mobile devices and take it out to the playing field. There's the integration of your stats and your Facebook statuses and pages and things of that nature. So it all sort of connects that way.
And those are truly viral, not just for a gag sense, but
right.
I'll tell the other half back on the team, you've got to go get on this because I think I'm pretty far ahead of you, but I want to make sure.
Yeah. In the social space, we want to create currency for people who use this stuff so that they can have stuff to share. I think that's the name of the game, is creating a currency that people can share rather than looking at it as a place to run an ad.
So that kind of answers one of my future questions, right. Which was, so many people are throwing around the medium as the message. And I've heard different definitions, and that comes as close, I guess, as anything.
Yeah, I think there's lots of points you can make there. I think that when McLuhan came up with that term, what he believed that to mean has probably evolved, tenfold since then. And for us, I think when you talk about the medium being the message, there's a profoundly different point of demarcation of traditional media versus sort of digital. Traditional media, the medium is the message, is sort of, about these things that are hot and cold or whatever that McLuhan talked about. But all of them were places where messages were sort of delivered, and they were more about communicating about a brand. So it's about the brand message. And digital, I think, what the medium is about is the brand behavior. How does this brand behave online? What are its characteristics? The way that we've sort of evolved Nike is that the brand behavior is that we took their overarching brand positioning, which is that they are the brand that inspires and enables athletic performance. That's what they've been about since day one. And we've helped them define what it means to inspire or enable through a whole range of behaviors online. So Nike Plus is one example of a range of brand behaviors that are applicable to runners. The example I just gave of head-to-head is a new set of behaviors that's for football players. Right. Where, again, it's not about what the brand is saying, it's about the things that it's fostering or engendering or promoting or whatever, or enabling really is I think the key word. So the meaning of that is the message as it applies to digital is more about brand behavior and less about brand message.
So with that said, where does the big idea sit today? I mean, it's, you talked a little bit about the traditional method, which really is just so revolved around the big idea.
I think people equivocate on the big idea. Like if you ask an ad agency what the big idea is, it's typically a piece of communication. It's a messaging strategy. It's a tagline. I think other agencies have evolved big ideas to include that plus some great stun or gag or viral thing that people participate on. Kristen is great at that. All hats off to them. They do amazing work in that space, and they can just churn out hits like one after the next. Almost everything that they come up with, in particular, I think for Burger King, has been a hit on that basis. But I think that another way that this sort of has evolved about the big idea is that almost all the clients that we work on have sort of brand platforms. I think Nike's a good example. Their brand platform, which pre-existed any agency ever working on it. When they launched Nike, when Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman launched Nike, they said this brand is going to be all about inspiring and enabling people to be better athletes. And eventually widely articulated that as just do it. And they did all this iconic advertising that was sort of driven by that sort of sentiment or that spirit. And as I think we've taken the idea of inspiring and enabling, we've figured out that we can build all these amazing applications that people integrate into their lives that are great enablers of people to be better athletes. And they can even be inspiring because when you're in the Nike Plus world, you're sort of pushed by your community to be a better runner. You're challenged. I think we do our best work when brands have these very well articulated platforms, brand platforms, I don't mean technology platforms, but brand platforms, like inspiring and enabling athletic performance.
That brings me to the types of brands that you may approach or go after as for new business. You're a chief growth officer. How do you approach growth and look at other brands that you aspire to work with, or what is that approach and how does that reach work?
Yeah, I think over the years we've built and evolved RGA to be an agency that can serve the needs of the leading brands in any category. So that's the brands that we hope to attract, and I think as you look at our client roster, we've had a pretty good track record. So we've got, for instance, Nike, which is our biggest client, and they are the world's leading athletic apparel manufacturer by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah.
Among our major clients are companies like Nokia, which is the market share leader in mobile handsets globally. Walmart, pretty big.
That's
Nothing. You don't even need to say anything more about that one. We've built a model that can either work with the leading brand in the category, in other words, the sort of 800-pound gorilla of the category, or in some cases it's been the most interesting sort of challenger brand. We've had a little bit more of a pull strategy. We've built this thing that we hope pulls clients into it. I would say right now we've reached a point in our business model where we've got sort of the talent and the processes where our pitches are just off the charts. I mean, we've just raised the bar every year, and this year the pitch work it's beyond anything that I ever believed we could ever do, and that's what's winning the business, quite honestly. And I do feel like often the best agency emerges through the process of pitching. So we love to pitch. I mean, it's a pain in the butt for everyone. It's a big investment in time.
Unanimous.
Yeah, it's a big investment in time.
Does the pitch work typically make it to, I don't want to use the word campaign, to make it into live
implementation?
Production?
Sometimes. Pitches tend to be a little bit more blue sky. They tend to have less of the realities of what a client can really pull off or whatever associated with them. And then that's what they're asking for. They want to dream, They want to see what this bright digital future might look like, and then the realities sink in about what their IT infrastructures are like, or what their organization's like, or sometimes budget concerns or time to speed to market. But I think for the most part, the ideas do make it in some form into the live work, and I think that's going to happen more and more. Clients are going to buy these kinds of ideas.
That's it for part 3 of the Buzzbubble with Barry Wacksman. Tune in next week for part 4.